Hey, what is up guys? Going to be taking a look at a bunch of exclusive Korean OCG cards from Primal Origins. I have no idea when we will be getting these in the TCG, but it's always good to go ahead and look ahead and see what we will have into the game, because if you're playing on Dueling Network or DevPro, some of these will be available in the future. There are actually already available on Dueling Network, but once they get added into DevPro, I'll be testing them out for you guys. But anyways, the first card we got is Gorilla Kite. It's a level 4 fire, fiend type, tutor monster, and it has the effect of when this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, inflict 500 damage to your opponent. You can only use the effect of Gorilla Kite once per turn. So basically this card can be used with cards like Flammable Fire Dog, or you can technically use Rekindling and actually bring it back, which is not bad. So that means whenever you go for a synchro play, you can actually deal 500 points of damage. Not much, but you know, Flammable Magician doesn't really do anything for you either, other than be a monster you can just kind of bring out. Anyways, the next card we have is a monster that's Watchik Fighter is its name. And these names obviously will perhaps be changed because, you know, it's translation issues. But this is level 3 light psychic type monster, and it has 1500 attack and 300 defense. When this card is normal or special summon, you can target one card in your opponent's graveyard, put that target to the top or bottom of the deck. You can only use the effect of Watchik Fighter once per turn. So I could see it. I don't really know if you would say this against Infernities, because, I mean, you can make it so they don't top deck the Archfiend, but they're going to just top deck it next turn anyways, unless you can try to disrupt them and do something else to it. But for the most part, I don't really see any use for this card, so if you guys can figure out a use for this card, I'll put all their effects down below in the description box as well if you actually want to read them fully. Next up, we have a kind of an anti-Lightsworn and an anti-Sylvan card. This is Earth Shattering. It's a continuous spell card that says, when a card is sent from either player's deck to the graveyard, target one card in either graveyard, shuffle that target into the deck. Also, neither player can send cards from the deck to the graveyard for the rest of this turn. So basically, if you're playing against Lightsworn and they go for that red and to send cards to the graveyard, you can not only bounce something back, but then they can't mill during the end phase. So that actually is really good, because that could stop your opponent from getting out the right amount of Lightsworns for Judgment Dragon. Plus, you can put back other cards as well, like Necro Gardener, so you can actually attack. So I think this card has a lot of potential to be a really good anti-meta card against certain other decks, perhaps in the side deck. I don't see it being like a really great main deck. I don't see it being a card where you know, it's going to be used specifically against Lightsworns, where we already have cards like Light Imprisoning Mirror that kind of you know, just are better. Because the thing is, what if they go for those solar recharges? What if they're just too fast, and then they're going to just dump all those Lightsworns, and then from there, you know, they're just going to drop the Judgment Dragon, and at that point they're going to blow up, and they're a-okay for that. But I mean, if you open up with it, it's not that bad. I mean, also sometimes Sylvan, they can just outspeed you. You know, Sylvan Charity can be really fast, and they can just start dumping cards really fast into the graveyard. Next up, we have some more support for Ghost Tricks. We have Ghost Trick Break. When exactly one Ghost Trick monster you control is destroyed by your opponent's card, either by battle or by effect, and sent to your graveyard, target 2 Ghost Trick monsters with different names than the destroyed monster in your graveyard, special summon those targets in face down defense position. So I think Ghost Tricks are going to be able to stall even harder, but what we need for Ghost Tricks is we need a Ghost Trick monster that is like their go-to monster, their strong monster. We need like a Darkhound Dragon or like a Master Hyperion for Ghost Tricks. That's what they really need, because they have the ability to keep themselves alive and, you know, do a little bit of shenanigans, but really when it comes down to it, a Ghost Trick deck on its own really can't do too much. I know that there's that build of the So Cute boss where you can make it so your opponent can't really even do anything, but at that point it's still using frogs to actually utilize the ability to XYZ, whereas Ghost Tricks on their own, as of right now, I think it's more just a archetype that is kind of a little bit splashable, I would say, and it prevents you from getting OTK'd, but for the most part, it's not going to be a deck that is going to be successful on its own. And lastly, but not the least, this is actually the most important card that we're going to have a huge discussion about, because this card is really going to change the way we play Yu-Gi-Oh! If this ever comes out into the TCG. This is Elder God Nodin. At first, when I looked at this card, I was like, hey, that's a Magic the Gathering artwork. That's some bootleg cards over there when I saw this picture. But, I mean, the people have got pictures of it with, you know, their fingers in it, so it looks pretty legit to me. And if this card comes out, like I said, it's going to change the game completely. So, it is a level 4 Water Fairy type fusion monster that has 2000 attack and 2200 defense, and it requires 2 Synchro and or XYZ monsters, so that means you can use both of either or. And it says when this card is special summoned, you can target one level 4 or lower monster in your graveyard, special summon that target. Its effects are negated when this card leaves the field, banish that target. So that is insane, because not only can you use something like Super Poly and just be like, you know what, my opponent has 2 XYZs or, you know, XYZ and a Synchro, let me go ahead and Super Poly, and you're only using 2 cards. Remember guys, your opponent will have the XYZ and the Synchro, or they'll have 2 Synchro synchros or 2 XYZs, you're going to be able to activate super polymerization. You're going to be using super poly and that card that you discard, and you'll be getting rid of 2 strong monsters that your opponent has on board. And keep in mind, you're going to have to use 2 cards to bring out, a synchro monster. You're going to have to use 2 cards to bring out an XYZ monster. So that means this is technically a +2. Plus you get a monster on board, which will be a relatively decent monster. Plus this card has an additional effect. So that is absolutely crazy. That is super good because, nothing can stop Super Poly. You can't even activate, well, Solemn Judgment is banned in the TCG, but yeah, you can't even activate cards like Solemn Judgment to this because you can't respond to this card. Obviously, once the monster comes out, yes, you can technically stop the monster's effect, or you can, get rid of the monster, compulse it, or whatever. But for the most part, you're going to be getting rid of 2 boss monsters that your opponent actually brought out. And like I said before, they're going to have to use 2 cards to bring out 1 synchro. I know cards like Junk Synchron that get back other cards can be considered 1 card for 2, but I mean, majority of the time it's going to be, 2 cards to bring out 1 card. And I think this is going to change the way we play the game completely, because this card gets its effect when it's special summoned, and it doesn't have that wording where it can't be special summoned except by, fusion summon or something like that. So you can instant fusion this, you can soul charge this. Like, this card is going to change the way we play the game. I know in TCG, soul charge is probably way better than this card, the way I see it at least, because soul charge basically means I get to summon a bunch of stuff, and then next turn I make, if you don't get rid of the field that I've established, you just lose because you have too many monsters to deal with. But I think this card is going to completely change the game, because that means instant fusion equals any sync. Well, I mean, within reason. I mean, it's basically up to level 8. I would say. I know that there are some monsters in the game where they can change their level, but for the most part, it means any synchro up to level 8, and on top of that, any XYZ that has rank 4. And I think rank 4s are pretty much the best ones. I mean, you have Exciton Knight, you have things like 101, and that just means 1 card, 101, and that's a pretty good effect. And there's really no downside to this, other than the card that brings out its effects are negated, and then when this card leaves the field, you have to banish that target. So that's pretty good. I don't really see any downsides to that. I mean, I know, like I said, it just banished the target, but that's very minimal. It's not like Soul Charge where you sometimes can't activate it, where this card is like always good to go with Super Poly. So I would love to see what kind of combos we can create, and I'm sure there's going to be some type of loop with this, because it's not like its effect can only be used once per turn. Like I said, there's really minimal downsides to this card, so be on the lookout for this card, guys. Elder God Nodin. It's actually already available on Dueling Network, so go ahead and have some fun with it. I'm actually kind of interested to see if anyone's actually playing this on Dueling Network. I bet you there are, so I'm actually going to cast some games tomorrow and try to look for someone that is playing the Elder God Nodin, because I feel like it has a lot of potential in the game, and like I said, it looks legit. If it's fake, I'll let you guys know that I've done goof, but for the most part, there's a lot of other pictures of people holding up this card, and like I said, the artwork straight up looks like Magic the Gathering. But anyways, if you guys got any crazy combos or ideas with Elder God Nodin, let me know, and like I said, I'll put all their effects down below in that description box, so if you want to read them, go ahead and check it out for yourself. But anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Azneyeswhite signing out.